Hey guys, we're going to make caramel sauce. I'm making a caramel buttercream, so I need to make my caramel sauce first to add to the buttercream. So caramel sauce is super easy. All you need, this version we're going to do sugar. There's a cup of sugar in there and 3 tablespoons of water. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to swirl that around. We're not going to stir it, we're going to swirl it around. Okay, see? Swirl that around, medium-high heat, and you're just going to let it slowly melt, let the sugar and the water melt, and let it boil. Don't stir it or it'll get crystallized and crunchy. You don't want crunchy caramel sauce. So you're just going to let that melt and come to color of a dark amber honey color. The darker the color, the deeper the caramel flavor will be. After this comes to a dark honey color, we're going to add in our liquid heavy whipping cream and 2 tablespoons of butter. And that is that. It takes a few minutes, but once it starts coloring, you don't want to walk away. The sugar will burn very quick once it starts to color. You will notice, see, it's already starting to melt. It's beeping because this is our induction range, and when you take the pot off, it doesn't have that magnetic reaction. Okay. So this caramel sauce, it's going to be hot. You got to let it cool. As it cools, it thickens. Right? And caramel sauce you can obviously pour over ice cream. You can, as it firms up, you can drizzle it over cupcakes, over apple pie, tarts. You can add it to what I said, buttercream. I'm going to make caramel buttercream. See, it's already liquidy. See, it's already getting liquidy. Okay, so I'm just going to swirl it because there's still a lump of sugar in there that did not quite blend into the water. There it goes. Okay, so we're just going to let that sit. Yeah, so caramel sauce. And once you make it, chill it. It stays in the fridge probably a good 2 weeks if you don't put your finger in it and get bacteria growing in it. Yeah, caramel sauce is wonderful. Or you can just drizzle it over cake, garnish. You can decorate on a plated dessert plate with it. Now it's boiling. Okay, see, it's so simple. There are several versions of caramel sauce on the internet. Some are easier than others. True traditional pastry chefs will just put sugar in a saute pan, just pure sugar, and move the pan around as the sugar starts to melt. If you just throw sugar in a pan and put it on the stove and leave it, it's going to burn before it all has a chance to melt and color. Okay. But by adding a little water to it, you give yourself more time, more leeway. The safest is to add a little bit of corn syrup. This corn syrup is sugar that's already been cooked, so there's been a chemical reaction, so there's less chance of it crystallizing. The hazard of crystallizing when you boil sugar and water to make syrups, dessert syrups, or caramel sauces, when it crystallizes, the sugar, you'll watch it, it's happened. The sugar as it's cooking, you see it nice and liquid, see it boiling. As it's boiling, it looks fine and liquidy, and then all of a sudden you'll just see a little hard white rock develop, crystal, and then it just shoots across the whole pan, and it just solidifies into rock candy, basically. And it's awful. It's candy, and there's nothing you can do with it. But what happens is the sugar, if there's impurities in it, or if it's not clean sugar, right? Or if there's hard rock sugar on the edge and then it drops in, it will cause that crystal to spread. It's a chemical reaction. But this is looking good. Anyway, if you add corn syrup, maybe a tablespoon of corn syrup to it, that'll prevent it from the crystallizing. Alright, that was looking so good. You see that boiling? Look at that. Alright, so we're just going to let that color. Once it starts boiling rapidly and thick, boy, I wish you can see that. It's going to come to color quickly, meaning it's going to start to do a light tan. Let me see if I can get that. Nope, you can't see that. Well, it's coming. Okay. See how thick it's getting? The longer it boils, it starts to thicken because the water is evaporating to where it's coming just down to pure sugar. And then it's going to color. So I'm moving it around again to distribute the heat so it will color evenly, meaning cook evenly. If you just leave it alone, a lot of times you'll get one spot that starts to caramel color unevenly and the other part's not cooking. Beautiful, look at that. It's getting there. It's pretty quick. Okay. Go. Starting to color. Yeah. We got our cream ready and our butter. At this point, you could add some spices to it. Maybe a little cinnamon, a little dash of nutmeg, right? For nice fall flavors. Okay, I'm just going to leave it. Good. You can, another trick, if it's starting to crystallize around the sides, you can, with a brush or just a little spoon, dribble a little water, and it will help, it'll melt the sugar that's come up to the sides. See, and it just splatters out, it's okay. See that? Ooh, it's starting to color. Look at that. Looking good, but again, see, I'm not stirring it at all, I'm just swishing the pan around. Oh yeah, here it comes. Yeah. Oh, it's starting to color. Okay. Let it sit a minute. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to make caramel buttercream because I'm assembling a chocolate cake with a chocolate mousse filling, and I'm going to do a caramel buttercream on the outside and a chocolate glaze over the top, which I will be videotaping for you guys. Okay, it's starting to get there. And swish it, you know, for a few seconds. Keep it moving around so it doesn't burn the bottom. Now again, with those impurities I was talking about that causes it to crystallize into hard sugar, you want to be sure you're using clean pan, clean utensils. Sometimes it will happen the sugar is just old or stored too long, or it could be impure sugar from that factory, and it's not your fault that it crystallizes. It just happens, and you just throw it away and start again. It's really easy to wash pans when you cook sugar because it's just sugar. It might look burnt, which we've burned pots of sugar in class. You just put it in the pan, put it in the sink, fill it with water, let it sit, and the water will just melt it. It cleans really easy. Okay? Just let it soak in water. Now we got color. See that? Just about there. Switch this down a little bit. I keep tipping it and I'm getting sugar up on the sides. There we go. Woo! I think we got it. Just about dark. And it will lighten a little bit once you add the cream and the butter. So it's okay to go a little bit over in color for that good caramel flavor. Just about there. Yeah. It's like a dark honey. Alright, I think I'm good. So, now be careful. When you add the cream, this is boiling sugar, right? And do not put your finger in it. But when you add liquid, this has water. And when you add water to boiling sugar, it's going to start sputtering and steaming crazy. Okay, so be aware of that. Don't have your face too close to it. Don't have your little cousins watching you too close. Okay, you're going to take it off the heat. And you're going to whisk in the cream. Okay, very carefully. And I'm whisking. And I'm going to add the butter. And I'm going to whisk constantly. Right, till that all melts. Look at that beautiful color. Okay, and I'm going to whisk it to melt that butter in. Now, it's kind of thin. But remember, it does thicken as it cools. But if you put it back on the stove and boil it longer, more water is going to evaporate because the water that came from the cream and the butter, right? More water will evaporate and it will be thicker. If you keep boiling it, that's how you make hard caramel candies, like Sugar Daddy suckers, right? Okay, look at that. Is that not beautiful? Okay, I'm going to use my spatula here, get all that cream out. Because then I'm going to pour it back into this container to store it. Because you want to get it out of the pot into a heat-proof container to store it. You put it into a mixing bowl. I'm going to pour it back into my liquid glass. Alright, it's kind of liquidy. I'm going to boil it a little longer. Just a little bit. We make this at Madonna Inn, our caramel sauce is scratch, that we drizzle over the apple Dutch pies with the streusel topping. Oh, fabulous pie. Caramel Dutch apple. And then we drizzle caramel over it. Sauce. Anyway, we make our caramel sauce in a huge copper bowl. You see them in videos. Huge copper bowl and a big paddle to stir it. It's awesome. And we use brown sugar and corn syrup and then lots of butter and cream. And we have to cook it to a temperature, certain temperature. Alright, it's boiling crazy. See that? Look at that beautiful color. Oh, they're going to love this. And I'm just going to boil it a few minutes. That is gorgeous. I'm done. I'm just going to pour it out. You guys can see this. Is that not beautiful? Okay, get all that goodness out of there. I'm going to leave it in the pan and waste it, right? Okay, and there is our caramel sauce. Isn't that beautiful? Put it on your pancakes. Right? Ooh, pumpkin pancakes with caramel drizzle. Oh my goodness. Apple pancakes. Alright, there's my caramel sauce. I'm going to cool it down some before I add it to my buttercream to ice my cake. Alright, thank you.